test as well. And it depends on what class they were in 8th grade and all those kind of things. But just, something to think about, that there's really no reason to push them, too hard into a math class. They really can start at integrated math 1, because everybody gets to AP. Everybody does at UHS. Okay. Here's the difference between UHS and other local high schools. So on the left, you can see what, these are all just required classes at UHS on the left. It's a full load of classes. And then we require 275 units to graduate. And then on the right, that's what I had to graduate when I went to regular high school. That was English and government, and then a bunch of electives. Okay, so there's a huge difference between UHS and any other high school in town. Okay. Our Fresno State connection, we're kind of in this weird spot, Fresno State. So we are part of Fresno State, but we're considered to be auxiliary. And so we are an independent school, but we do work closely with Fresno State. We have access to some of their green space, and we do use those when we can. We do pay Fresno State for our students to take those classes, and those fees are going up next year. So it usually costs us now about $80,000, so it's going to cost us a little over $100,000 next year to pay for those classes. And then our students, their ID card is a Fresno State ID card. It doesn't allow them all access everywhere, but it does allow them to use the library services with that Fresno State ID card. And they, like I said, they are considered auxiliary students. This map here shows where some of our UHS graduates have gone after they've graduated. So all over the United States. They don't just stay in California, they do go everywhere, which is really kind of exciting. And how do our students do? They tend to earn degrees faster and at higher rates from college than other high schools. And then our SAT scores, which I know the SAT isn't a big thing anymore, but those that still take the SAT, it's about 100 points higher at the state and national averages by UHS students. And then this chart here is our GPA distribution. Every year we can safely guess that about half of our senior class will have a 4.0 cumulative GPA or better. This year's senior class is 116. Last year there was 113 graduates, and I think it was 67 of them had a 4.0 or better. So we only just choose one valedictorian and one salutatorian, because otherwise we'd have 65 of them up on stage, so we just choose one. How do our students do? Here's some statistics, and we can go on and on, but as a little aside, there was an article in the paper a couple weeks ago about test scores are down and all that kind of stuff. And our test scores at UHS, the students are amazing. They're so wonderful, and they work so hard. And a lot of it is just the synergy that they work together. We don't have the students that sit in the back of the room and say, hey, put my name on that. They all just work together. But about the article that was in the paper about when test scores are down, they were comparing 2019 scores to 2022 scores. Well, there was a big event that happened in the middle of that, so I don't know about all of you, but if they asked me to compare my weight from 2019 to 2022, it sounds a little bit different. It's a little heavier, but if they compared my weight from 2021 to 2022, I've lost 50 pounds since last year, because I'm back and I'm working hard and I'm doing, and so, and I think if, we look at that, and know that the students are working really hard, and our students at UHS just do a great job. So, but here's just some statistics up here. In 2022, our students came back with strong test scores, 97% in English, scored at met or exceeded, and 84% in math, met or exceeded. And that's just unheard of in the Central Valley. And just know for high school, only juniors are tested. Freshmen, sophomores, and seniors are not. Only juniors are tested. And 92% for science. So in 2021, they were testing online, and this was during the pandemic year. 99% scored at that high level, 78% and 72% for science. So, and then in 2019, that was the first year of the science test. our students scored 90% and actually did a study, and that was the second highest score in all of California. So, I mean, like I said, our students are just awesome. So there's another thing called the Golden State Seal Merit Diploma, and usually every year about 65 to 75% of our students qualify for that. It has to do with their grades on tests and certain areas of classes and everything. So about 65, 75% of our students can qualify for that. And then also the state seal of biliteracy. A little over a quarter to a third of our students can qualify for that. They need 4 semesters of a foreign language. And so that's that. I think if they carry on their foreign language into their senior year, and then they have to have a high GPA, it's over a 3.2 or something like that, and some test scores. So our students do well. Here's some awards. It's always nice to be acknowledged. Last year, again, our first year back after COVID, this was really a great year. Received some nice awards. The 2 that were wonderful was the California Pivotal Practice Award, which had to do with something that we did online the year before, and then the National Blue Ribbon Award, which is the highest award a school can receive from the U.S. Department of Education. But lots of other great things there. The most recent was from niche.com, the middle A+ grade, which only 3% of schools in the whole United States receive that letter grade. Second best charter and 27th best high school in California, and 17th best charter in America. So great school, like I said. And then we just finished our WASC accreditation last week. So it says that fully accredited through 2023, but we just finished that process, and so that it will extend for 6 more years. And so is UHS for everyone? I want to say yes, it is, but really it's not, because if you're not going to work hard and you're not going to buy into our program, then it's not for you. Like I told you, my son, he's like, I hate the guitar, so it wasn't for him. But my daughter did come to UHS, and she graduated last year, and it was a struggle for her for the work academically, because she was kind of lazy. Like I said, I'm a realist, I'll tell you how it is. And so it was hard for me as a parent, because I'm organized, responsible. I'd be like, don't you have homework? She's all, I'll do it later. I was like, oh my gosh, she's killing me. So, but she got the work done, and she graduated, and she's at Sonoma State now. So, and she learned a lot. She learned a lot of great things, and how to study and how to be a good student. And so what was great about the class from last year, 113 students, all 113 students graduated, all 113 students went to college somewhere. But we are a music school. If you don't like music, UHS will not be a fun experience for you. And so we do have that specific course pattern, like I mentioned, and we don't vary from it. So we do have some behavior expectations. Our students and our faculty get along, which is wonderful. Our teachers have been there for a long time. And so it's great. We do treat students like family, and parents like family. And students often say that they can finally be themselves. The 4 of us meet with all the freshmen, and we ask the freshmen, what do you like about UHS, or what's different about UHS than your previous school? Someone always says, from each group that we meet with, I can finally be myself. It's finally okay to like school, or to like music, or just different things like that, that they finally feel comfortable to be themselves, which always makes me a little sad, because they should always be able to be themselves. But they can finally be themselves there. It's very unique there at UHS. Sometimes I kind of shake my head and go, that's an interesting look on a kid, but they always are unique there, that's for sure. But we do promote our code of character, which we say that students are UHS understanding, honorable, and studious. And so that is something that we promote all the time. Here's our code of character, and we have an assembly every year, usually in September or October, and we have a speaker that comes. We've had the chief of police, the mayor, various different people. This year we had Rob Golden. He is the founder of Golden Charter Academy, and he's a former NFL football player. So we had him come and speak to our students about the importance of character, and it was great. So he had students lined up for autographs and pictures with him, but talked about the importance of character and what he had to come across in his playing years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, but we have our freshmen sign our code of character, and that's a little ceremony with all the freshmen, and all the other students get to watch and clap for them and everything. And then we do also value community service and giving back to our community. So every student is required to participate in 80 hours of community service. And so that works out to about 10 hours per semester. And so we offer some community service that they can do on campus to help out with that. And then it can be done in the summertime as well, or during their weekends and all that kind of stuff too. But we want them to know about the importance of giving back to their community. And so, it's another requirement that helps to make our school unique, and it's something that they can write about on their college applications. And we feel it helps to give them a leg up in those college applications as well. And so 80 hours. And then, so the requirement, 9th grade requirement, is they have to have 2 years of music experience. Everyone always asks, okay, what's a GPA? There's no GPA requirement at all. Basically, I don't want to say this, you can flunk everything in the 8th grade, I don't want to say that, but so there's no GPA requirement at all. It is just 2 years of music experience, and you can have that experience through school, you can have it through private lessons, or you can have it through church, okay? And then you have to apply. So, and that includes for siblings too. So siblings do, I don't want to say they automatically get in because they do have to have met the requirement, and that is for siblings that are currently in the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. For an outgoing 12th grade sibling, they don't automatically get in, but you have to apply because we don't know that sibling is coming if you don't apply, okay? So our application period is January 9th through February 3rd. It is 4 weeks long, okay, but you have to turn in your application. And so this is how it will work. There are 3 ways to verify that music experience, and you don't have to do all 3 ways, just one of the 3 ways, okay? So the first one is that the student is currently taking music in middle school, and so then you just attach their transcript from middle school. You could just print it off, whatever they have, Aries, Power School, whatever system you have. You just print off their transcript. It doesn't have to be official, nothing like that. You just print it off. It shows that they were in band in 7th grade, and now they're in band, or whatever it is, in the 8th grade, and just attach that to their application, and that's it. Or you can have a current music teacher fill out an evaluation form, and we have the evaluation form on our website. You just download it, print it off, give it to the music teacher, and then they send it in. Or let's say that the music teacher moved away, or the music teacher's being kind of ornery and say, I'm not filling out because I want you to go to our school. And then you can just say, I need to have my son or daughter come in for a brief audition with your music teacher. So during our application period, or right afterwards, we'll set up a night or 2 of auditions with our choir director and our band director, and then you just have your son or daughter sign up for a time with them. And so any of these 3 ways will work. You don't have to do all 3, just one. Okay. And so here's the application process. They're submitted between January 9th and February 3rd. We screen all of the applications, so our office staff is very thorough. They'll go through every application. If you're missing something, then they'll give you a call and say, hey, you're missing something. We don't want to, it's not like we're going to throw it out and say, oh, sorry, they were missing something. We go through everyone because we want everyone to apply, and we want everyone to come to our school. So then they'll say, hey, you're missing this. Can you get this turned into us? Okay. If the pool is larger than the amount of openings, then we have a lottery. Last year, we did not have a lottery. We took every single student that applied that met the requirements. Okay. And so in the previous years, in 2021, 98% were admitted, because what happens is that we take, when the lottery, we take 135 students, and then everyone else gets chosen one by one, and they get on the wait list. And so as soon as someone tells us, oh, I'm going to stay at my regular school, I'm not going to come there, then we cross that person off and we go to the next one on the wait list, and the next one on the wait list, and keep on going through the wait list all the way. Okay? So 12 of the last 13 years, we have had a lottery, but last year we did not. We take 135 freshmen, and last year I think we had 145 applications or something like that, so we just took everybody because we knew people would come off of the wait list. Okay. We do have an established lottery process. It does include some preferences, and we are allowed to have some musical preferences on that. So for example, if our French horn, oboe players, whomever, they're graduating, then we can fill in with certain musical preferences if we need that. And then junior transfer candidates are granted on admission according to their classes. They don't go in the lottery though. So if you have a son or daughter that's applying and they're not a freshman, they can turn their application, but they don't go into the lottery. We look at those separate, we look at those after the lottery. The lottery is usually big enough, so look at them later. Okay, so we're parents. We ask that, we want you to do everything you can, but just know that we're a small school, and you're looking at, there's only 10 people that work at the school that are not teachers, and we're 4 of the 10 right here. So we do have a tech person, we have an office manager, a registrar, a development director, but when you call the school, you get a voice, and then we really try to get back to you as soon as we can. You don't have to follow the phone tree and push this number and all that kind of stuff. We answer the phone when you call. So, but just know that we're a small school and we cannot offer everything that large schools do. Okay, so we, many times we say, oh, how come we don't do robotics? Because we don't, okay? We offer lots of other things, but we don't offer robotics. There's a lot of things that we don't offer, but there's a lot of things that we do. And so just know that we are a small school and we do the best we can, and trust me, your students get great care at our school, but we can't offer everything because we are a small school. And they get, like I said, they have wonderful teachers and wonderful counselors, but we just can't offer and do everything for you. We do ask you to volunteer once, and that could even just be bring a case of water for an activity or bring some cookies. We never ask you to volunteer to chaperone a dance or anything like that. They don't want you there, trust me. So we take care of all that kind of stuff. And it's not like elementary school where you're like, oh yeah, I do that, and all of a sudden you're in the room, Mom. Okay, it's not like that at all. Okay, we have our Phoenix Alliance, our parent group. They have a couple of fundraisers that they do, and so they need help for those big activities there. But besides that, it's really pretty minimal. It's usually food, like we need a case of water, we need some cookies, we need stuff like that. And then we do ask for a donation, a voluntary donation of $700 annually, and that's because we don't do fundraisers, meaning that school doesn't do fundraisers. We don't do cookie sales, bake sales, magazine sales, you name it. We don't do any of that stuff because we know you're busy, you're tired, we're busy, we're tired. We just don't want to deal with any of that kind of stuff. And so if you're able to donate, it's great. If you're not able to donate, that's fine too. But we just found that it's easier to just say, here's what we would love to get from you. If you're able to donate, that's great. And like I said, Phoenix Alliance, our parent group, they do a couple of fundraisers, and that's dinner, silent auction dinner, and then our big show, Magic of the Arts, and that's basically the 2 fundraisers that they do per year. That's it. We really try to keep it minimal. Okay, so here's our schedule. We have our kids come up here. We have Caden, he's our student body president. We have Billy, he's our treasurer, thank you, I always forget. And then we have Sienna, she's our secretary, thank you, okay. And so they will talk to you a little bit about our schedule and a few other things here.
Okay, hello everyone, I'm Caden, so I'm a senior here, and so I've gone through this schedule for 4 years, and so I know it pretty well. So the freshman schedule is typically around 7 hours, give or take 1 or 2 hours. The school day does start at 7:55 a.m. She did mention tardies earlier, it's hard to get up in the winter, but the thing with this is that we have an hour class a day. So whereas normal high schools might have block schedules where you have alternating classes, alternating days for 2 hours, we have each class every day for 1 hour. Right? And then we have the traditional lunch for 1 full hour during period 4. And during lunch, we have all these club activities. We have things that are run by us and ASD. We have lunch events. So a lot of things go on, as she mentioned earlier, during this lunch hour. So as I said earlier, this schedule is 7 hours total. And if you look, we have an example schedule for you, right? A freshman could start with their period 0 with physics, and then they move on to IM1, which is math. They go on to Latin, musicianship, and just see how the schedule kind of correlates with everything else. One quick note here is that period 2 is Latin, and an unusual thing about our school is that every single student starts with Latin, and they proceed for 2 years with Latin, and they have the choice of moving on to a 3rd year of Latin. And the reason why we do that is because we want to establish a strong grounding in humanities, and it also presents a different way for them to kind of critically analyze a new language that they're learning. So it's a different opportunity compared to any other high school, and it has really helped me. I've taken 4 years of it so far in all of my other applications. So we do have a 7-hour schedule. It's a long day, and if you get into an advanced ensemble or choose to take something such as drama, as you see on the schedule, that can add an extra hour on at the end of the day. So some students leave at 4, some leave at 5, but most freshmen, if they don't do that, will leave at 3 p.m. Okay, Billy will talk about lunch.
Hi everybody, I'm Billy, and like the second said, I'm the treasurer and I'm a senior. So UHS participates in what's called the Universal Meal Program, and we provide a free breakfast and a free lunch to every student on campus. So no student is going to have to worry about going hungry for the entire day. There's always going to be food available. Just out on breakfast, it's inside the office, and then lunches are at room 101, which you guys will see on the tour. And then we also are able to use Fresno State facilities for our lunch program. So as you can see this list here, we have a couple of different choices. Residence Dining Hall is a buffet that we use. We have a Taco Bell, Robotitos, Subway, Panda Express, a juice bar called Juice It Up, Starbucks. We have snack bars, Bulldog Bites, and we also can use the Kennel Bookstore, which is kind of like the merchandise store, but they have a lot of packaged snacks that we can buy too. They also are building the new student union over there, and in the springtime they should have other options like the Habit as well. And then we also have a vending room, so we have packaged snacks in there for a pretty good price for vending machines, I would say. And there's drinks, and we also have a water fountain, and so you can get free refills for water any time of the day. And that's pretty much it in terms of lunch options. So I'm going to pass it off to Sienna, and she's going to talk about some of our other activities.
Thank you, Billy. So my name is Sienna. I am this year's ASB secretary. So I'm going to be talking about the sports at UHS. There's always like a thing going around saying UHS has no sports. Why would I not go there? Yes, we do have sports. So our sports generally go around the cross country. We also have volleyball, and we just have a bunch of sports here, and especially frisbee. And frisbee's our #1 sport here. And you know, if you're a female, we have powder puff here too. It's super fun. And like, if you're big into sports and you're like, well, I want to just do good at sports. Well, we have someone. We have one of our seniors, Fishy. She is like the fastest runner out of all charter schools. So she's decided to come here, and she does great at sports. And then we also have other activities like decathlon, mock trials, science olympiad, ASP, etc. We have a lot of opportunities for you guys to do extracurriculars too. And then not only that, we have like a bunch of clubs. Like we have like official clubs, which is like Interact, Neurodiversity, Speech and Debate, and then not only that, we have like unofficial clubs. So recently, we've had a lot of international clubs join. So we have like Inter-Asian Youth, which is like an Asian club, which expresses how Asian community is, and then we also have Filipino Club, which is also new this year. They talk about their culture and etc. There's a bunch of other cultural clubs as well. And then for our dances, we have a bunch. So in the beginning of the year, first week of school, you'll have a thing called Icebreakers, where you go to the ice rink and just skate and skate and skate. And then we have Harvest, which is when we play the biggest event of literally every UHS kid's dream, Phoenix Bowls, which is when you compete against other classes with Ultimate Frisbee. And that's in the afternoon. And then we also have Formal, which is going to be held here this year. That's very exciting because it's been a while since we've had like an actual building as Formal. And then we have Prom, which is usually in the winter, so usually around January, February. That's generally for only juniors and seniors. And then finally we have Sadie's, which is usually in the spring, and that's usually at Johnson Controls. So a lot of kids go to that, and it's pretty fun.
Okay, so so one thing that you may have noticed is that on the examples schedule that you have on your yellow paper, we don't have an elective per se, whereas in many other middle schools you have something like leadership or AVID, which is a college prep elective, right? And that's because the way that our calendar works is we have an academic block for 18 weeks, and then after winter break, we come back and students have 2 full weeks of elective classes. And so those elective classes consist of anything from an academic team, like academic decathlon, or something fun, like skiing or ceramics or drawing. So we have a really wide variety of classes for them to take for 2 weeks to kind of ease them back into the schedule for the second semester, right? So those are some examples that you can see. There's tons of, they're all fun. They're not academically rigorous in any way unless you're a team. And so we have 18 weeks, and then we have that 2-week block of intercession, we call it, and those are the elective period. And then we have another 18 weeks, and then we end up the school year right before summer with 2 more weeks of a lot of fun things. So that's the way our calendar works.
Okay, so in our elective session, that's how the students get their elective credit. And I typically like to explain their electives as their enrichment classes. And so sometimes students can take academic type classes like driver's ed or SAT prep. We can give them some remedial credit for classes as well. Or they could take some fun, exercise type classes or recreation, billiards and bowling. Or they can learn something new like textile crafts or drawing and painting, and we hire some Fresno State professors to come over and teach some classes for us as well too. So it's really fun, no homework usually, so the students really enjoy it. It's just a good time. We do take students up to China Peak to go skiing. We take trips during that time, so it's really a good time, and it's just really different. No other schools around do electives like we do, so it is a good time. And we also offer a travel type of directed study where if you wanted to extend a vacation during that time, you can do that too. So we're almost finished, but while I have the students here, if you have questions specifically for students, I'll answer general questions at the end, but if you have specific questions for students, anyone? Yes. So there's a calculus, but
So honestly, I feel like if we talk about it in 2 ways. We can start about it with freshman year. There's so many things to do here that a lot of the freshmen really overextend themselves in how much they choose to do. There's over 20 clubs here that are official, and there's a ton of interest groups as well. And a lot of the freshmen, with this kind of freedom that they find here at UHS, as she had said earlier, they can really do whatever they want, be whoever they want to be. They kind of overextend themselves. But that adds an extra layer of challenge onto the academic rigor, which I would say is the second part. As you saw, there's a lot of awards and there's a lot of classes, and these classes, especially with, for instance, Latin and musicianship, they're relatively foreign to students from coming from middle school, right? They don't take a musicianship or a music theory class, and they don't have Latin usually. And so understanding these new concepts and kind of proceeding with that rigor going through all 4 years might be one of the harder things at UHS. And I would say most of the students think the academics part is a little bit more difficult. But we have a great support system. All the teachers are here after school. We have a support center just dedicated for pure tutoring. And so all these things really help out balance that. Anything different?
I was actually going to say calculus, but that got stolen. So if I had to say something original, it would probably be finding a good balance of work and social life. I'd say in my freshman year, I was really focused on academics, really focused on clubs. Like Kaden said, I was trying to join everything and anything. And then I realized as I went on, I didn't have that like social connection. I didn't have that social skill like a lot of people. And so that was a bit of an adjustment for me, but obviously I had a group of like-minded students with me as well as supportive staff like Kaden said. And so that's really what helped me find that.
So I think my biggest challenge was comparing myself. When you come to the school, there's a lot of kids from different areas that are just talented. Like, you compare to yourself, like, oh, this musician, he's been playing since like the 3rd grade, and look at me, I'm not even close to there. Or it's someone who's very academically, like they're striving very much, and you're like, why am I not there? Or you look at yourself and you compare what you have to other students, like, oh, they do so many outside activities, why am I not doing that? And that becomes like a confidence issue. And so it took a long time for me to actually gain confidence in myself and realize that it's my progress, and it's only, I should care about my own progress, not anyone else's and where they are. And if I knew and I had that confidence, I would have definitely done more student life. I would have definitely done more academical classes. That confidence really stopped me from doing any other thing. But this year I really found myself, and that's why I'm here today. I stepped out of my zone, and I'm part of ASB. And that's something I would have never really done if I really didn't have that confidence within me. So yeah, confidence is really a big key here, and I know that you're gonna compare yourself, but really you should be only comparing yourself right now and before, who you were before. So yeah.
And I didn't I just said that you may get asked questions, so seriously. And just to bring up a few points here, we actually took away student ranking because of that, because the students compare each other, that kind of thing. We took away student ranking for that purpose, so that they don't know who number 1 is or number 113 or whatever. They don't know that, because it, can be really detrimental. So we don't want them to know that, because they're competing against themselves. And then also for parents, you're used to your son or daughter being number 1 and getting all A's and all that kind of stuff. So when they get a B, you don't ask them why they got a B. You tell them good job, because at UHS they're going to get a B, right? You guys got B's on a test or something, right? Yeah, and it's good for them to get. Everybody needs to get a B sometime. Okay, so. But it's one of those things that they're used to, because school's been very easy for them in the past until they come to UHS and they're actually challenged, and that's great. They should be challenged. Another question? Yeah, Green Vest.
I just have a question for the students. As far as your high school career has gone, what kind of margin do you have for outside activities that are not related to UHS?
Okay, so for me, I've been able to do quite a bit actually. So for example, I do an internship for one of the hospitals in Hanford. So I drive out there and I make effort to go over there and spend like 8 hours doing a shift there. So that takes a lot of time. And then I also do ASB, so that takes a lot of time. And honestly, if you plan and you organize your schedule well, you can fit almost anything in your schedule. Like I'm able to fit sports too, and I used to do an outside sport, which I was able to make time for. And so it's really just managing your time and understanding that if I do this right now, I can do this later. So yeah.
I would say that overall, it also depends on the students' choices about like extracurriculars and stuff, because I know UHS kind of has the brand of, oh, we have all this homework and it's so rigorous, but there's going to be some nights where it's really not that bad. And it's not always a go, go, go. A lot of times there is that time. And I would say that as someone who's been a part of speech and debate and mock trial, and in the same year, I definitely haven't had that much, but that's a trade-off that I personally gave for those extracurricular activities. But I'm still involved in my community, and I've been a part of certain boards that do meet outside of school boundaries. And I would say it's really up to you. Definitely, there is that room and that margin.
Okay, ditto, and so I guess really, the last thing I'd like to add is that there's really 2 groups of activities you can do here. You have the academic extracurriculars, and then you have the things like clubs and things like ASB that really take place during the school day. And so if you're a student or your incoming freshman decides to commit to a curricular that happens during the school day, then you have a lot of time after school to work on whichever outside project you would like Sienna's internship. If you take on an academic team, for example, like speech and debate, mock trial, or academic decathlon, those may take an hour or 2 of your evening that could be put elsewhere if you did not do that, right? So it's a choice on the student's behalf on what they really want to do. But other than that, if they really want to focus on outside passions, then they can, because homework for a freshman should take, maybe at most 2 hours a night, and then you have the rest of the evening, and they can join academic teams as well as have time to just relax and spend time with you guys. So.
Yes.
What would you say were some of the key reasons you picked this high school over the traditional high school.
Okay, key reasons why you chose to come to UHS.
So for me, the main reason why I came is just, the academics are great here. It's definitely an opportunity which a lot of kids don't get, and if you have the opportunity, you should take it. And a lot of kids are like, man, I don't want to go. That's a lot of work. Well, I think the hard work is worth it. You have, your future is going to be set if you go to this school. And for me, when it was coming to decide, like if I wanted to stay at a regular school or not, it was just like, well, if I get in, I know that I will have a set career. I know that I'm going to be prepared for college, because college is a hard thing, And if I stayed at a regular school, I was like, yeah, I gotta do my sports. I can just be someone, but here, I can be somebody that is striving and wants to do what they want to do. So that was like one of my main reasons why I wanted to come here, because it's such a good opportunity, and the hard work is definitely worth it at the end. Really?
I would have to agree with Sienna in the fact of opportunity, because for me the choice was either University High School or Fresno Christian, and University High School had certain teams that I wanted to be a part of, certain extracurriculars that allowed me to explore my passions as well. And given that academic challenge, it gave me a set of goals to follow, and also being surrounded by people, like I said before, it's that community around you that supports and builds you up. And that's also something I found with the staff as well. Whenever I had an issue, there's no fear of going into a teacher's office, a teacher's classroom, just for some help. You're never going to be criticized, because all of our teachers know that everyone is at the same level. There's no like, oh, this person's in a better class, this person's in a better class. Everyone's, for the most part, in the same class, but they're all rigorous classes, and they have that understanding for you. So, Kaden.
So pretty much I'm just going to touch on what Sienna said about the college part. That's really the appeal that I had. I know as a 9th grader I was probably screaming and crying, but so this is in hindsight, of course. But the big thing about this school that differentiates it from any other school, like I would have gone to Buchanan, is that there are no college opportunities at Buchanan. But for me, I've taken 3 college courses for the past 3 semesters at Fresno State, and for parents, that's a lot of money you save, right? But for the students, that really gets you into the atmosphere of what a collegiate setting is like. Right, you gain the self-confidence, because typically our UHS students are the kids that are raising their hands in every college class, and so they have the highest grades, and all these things that kind of psychologically help prepare you for college, but also academically, because you get to see what how the grades are distributed compared to a normal high school setting. And so that's really important for a student to get to know before they just get dumped in college after you graduate senior year.
Okay, so we're gonna move on, but I do want to just ask them so you'll know where they're going here. Where did you apply to college?
This one's, I wasn't ready for that one. Okay, so right now, I'm not really applying to any big schools, because I'm going to the medical field. So I'm going to apply to Fresno State, Fullerton, UCLA, and then University of Michigan, and then I'm also going to be applying to Baylor University.
So I won't bore you with the entire list, but I have a little mix of public and private schools, but my dream school to go to is Georgetown.
I applied to Harvard for early action, and I'm going to apply to Stanford for my dream school, and I want to do computer science. So.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. All right, so it's always great to have students here. They are fabulous, and there's 487 others like them at UHS. So let's finish off here. So here's, if we can you put on the Consider UHS. This video here is just quick 30 seconds. This was made by students here.
If you're going back to school, before you submit your essays, take a opportunity to quickly check for spelling, punctuation, or
When I first came to University High School, I thought I was going to be alone. Then I saw. Then I listened. And I realized I'm not alone. I knew that I was accepted here no matter who I was. I felt that this was the start of a new beginning. I felt reborn, like a phoenix.
Are you interested in high-quality college prep education?
Do you have a background in vocal or instrumental music? If so, University High School may be the place for you. Applications are accepted during the month of January, and a public lottery takes place in February for incoming freshmen. Older students are encouraged to apply as well, and those applications are accepted on an as-needed basis. University High School, a school where all students can be who they are meant to be. All students are challenged, and all students can succeed.
Okay, so that video was made by our students a couple of years ago for a project. And then this is our application period. It's not until January, so if you go on our website, there's nothing to see there yet, sorry. But if you go on our website, it's uhsfresno.com/admissions. And then that's our presentation. So if you could just, on your phone, it's the same one back on the table. So all this does is give us your information. So if you have a question that doesn't get answered today, you can fill this out and put a question, and I'll email you back the answer to the question. So just real fast, I know it's already 5 o'clock, but if there are some questions that I could answer for the group, and then when we go for the tour, you can ask as many questions as you like to. But any questions here quickly for the group? Yes, ma'am. No, they have to take the college classes as part of the curriculum. They don't have to, on their senior year, the extra ones, that's just if they want to, but as the courses that were listed in red back here, let me come back here, these are required here. That is part of our curriculum. And so those are graduation requirements.
Came a little bit later. Do we get a packet or can we get?
No, if you fill out on the form and then say, can you send me a PowerPoint, I can email it to you. Yes.
So I was blown away that 98% or more got admitted last year of the applicants. Any thought on what the patterns might be this year or what might have affected that last year? Knowing all of the opportunities at your school, I would think that COVID wouldn't even matter. I mean, we certainly saw that in 2019, 2020. Maybe that was COVID related.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, last year I was like, what? They don't want to come here. Seriously, it was like, seriously, and we do advertising. We pay for Facebook advertising and social media advertising. It's on the radio. It's seriously, we pay advertising. So I'm like, and seriously, we call it utopia. It really is. My very first day of working at UHS 11 years ago, I was walking by. There was a cell phone plugged in, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a cell phone. Someone's going to steal this. I came back 10 minutes later. It's still there. The kids, they don't steal from one another. You should see in our lost and found, we have like over $700 because people come in and say, I found $20 on the ground, and they turn it in. Where does that happen? No place. Okay, it is seriously, it is utopia. It is a wonderful school, but it is rigorous. It's difficult. It's not, unmanageable though. But I think, the charter school enrollment was down. Kids were wanting to stay close to home. COVID wasn't sure what was going to happen exactly. And so, I think that was a lot of it. So hopefully it'll change a bit, but I don't know if that's what, I think a lot of it had to do with the pandemic and COVID and just wanting to be close to home. Yes.
Can you explain the elective session again? You said that was 2 weeks.
Yes.
After vacation?
So the elective session is the first 2 weeks when we come back in January, and then it's the last 2 weeks of school in May, June. And so our schedule follows the Fresno State schedule. And so college semesters are shorter than high school semesters. And so, but we need to have 180 school days. And so we add those at the time to have these elective sessions. So there's 2 classes, they're 3 hours each, so it's 8 to 11 and then 12 to 3. Or some of the classes are an all-day class. And so then the students pick the classes that they want. Every teacher teaches something, usually their hobby or whatever it might be. And then, so they have all these different classes that they might want to teach. And so we have, all these different classes that are offered. Here's just a couple of different ones that we have. Songwriting, driver's ed, life skills. Like I said, we take 45 kids up to China Peak and go skiing and snowboarding. We take kids. Mrs. Bird has a boot camp that she does, an exercise boot camp every day, 3 hours worth of boot camp exercise. We do Science Olympia during that time. This year we have a couple of Fresno State professors teaching of drawing and painting. We have a ceramics class. We have an ag class out at the ag farm here at Fresno State. So that's how they get their elective credit. And so, but if a family wanted to take a vacation, then they can sign up for directed study with Mr. Morgan, and then the student has to write a report on their vacation, but then you could take your extended vacation during that time as well too. And so a lot of seniors choose to do that in May, and they go on their vacation in May. But it is kind of nice because then in May, when all the other schools are doing, we got all this stuff going on, we're already done with school. Well, not done with school, we're in our fun classes at that time and taking fun classes. And we graduate actually when Fresno State graduates, so we graduate mid-May. Okay, another question? One thing I'll answer real fast, well, two things I guess real fast, is dress code. We do have a dress code, they have to wear clothes, but it's really pretty minimal on the fact of that we don't have a real strict dress code on the fact of they can wear flip-flops, they can have purple hair, all that stuff. We don't care about that kind of stuff. We just want their clothes to be appropriate, like no drug references and that kind of stuff, and covering up, but it's really pretty mellow, and then the other thing is, usually dads ask about the college kids, they don't want anything to do with our kids. They know they're in high school, and they're like, no thank you. So, and even in the college classes, some of the language classes, but they don't, Kaden, you're in math classes, right? What do they say to you in math? Wow, you're in high school? Okay, I just want you to know, Kaden is a math genius here, and he has the highest score in his math 152 class or something like that. He's a senior in high school. Yes?
How do the student that is going for the medical field, how do they get to do internship in hospitals? Do the school has any agreement with the hospitals or?
We don't have any agreements, and we don't offer internships and stuff. So then, Sienna, you just did that on your own.
So we're very lucky that the counselors, they actually add us to a Google Classroom, which they have like announcements for scholarships and for anything, and especially internships. So I'm in a program called Health Scholars, and so she put it on Google Classroom. She said anyone wants to do it, go for it. And so I applied for it, and now I'm in the internship. So it's nothing that the school's related to, but they do see those announcements and stuff, and so they think it's a great idea. Why not share it to the students? So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, that's that personal care that you get from the counselors, because the counselors have their own Google Classroom, and so whenever we get scholarships or anything like that, they put on the Google Classroom, and then they share that with all the students. Okay, so we've been here a long time, sorry about that. Let's go back to UHS. Our counselors here, they're gonna lead the tour for you, and we'll split that up into 2 groups, so it won't be as large. So if you head on back to UHS with our counselors, they will give you the tour.